Hello, you are listening to From Maclay to Zama. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who worked for the U.S. Army at Camp Zama, Japan, from 1953 to 1955. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Episode 49, letters 161 to 164. Just so you all know, there are about 240 letters, and we are in the 160s with this episode. Though episodes have been slow in coming this summer, there's a lot more to find out about my adventurous aunts. Major construction at our house in July led to a clean palette to create a fancy garden on our property, and I did so in honor of Bern and Peg. There's a section of Japanese garden, an ode to Hershey Gardens, and then my favorite garden here in North Carolina, Biltmore. I've been working in 80 to 90 degree temperatures most of the summer to get things planned and planted before the inevitable fall hurricane season. And it's likely to come and wash away everything I haven't already planted. So I've got to get that done. I'll share some photos of the garden on the podcast website, www.FromMaclaytoZama.com. Also, there was an interesting discovery made while cleaning this week. I found a notebook from Betty, my grandmother and Bern and Peg's sister, full of reminiscences and information about their childhoods that I requested about 35 years ago and probably forgot that I had. So more primary documents to add to things about after the letters are done. And I'm excited to read and transcribe. Her handwriting is even more difficult to read than Peg's. So a future goal. In letter 161, Peg is back in love. This guy's name is Ace Gray, and he's even more wonderful than Red Dog. It sounds like he should be fighting with Snoopy, but okay. I've had enough. I couldn't go through it again, so I began Googling in earnest, and what I found was pretty shocking. So hold on. I'll let you know at the end of this episode what I found out about this Ace. Oh yeah, he's described as the kind of guy that sings first thing in the morning. I live with someone like that. Letter 161 from Peg, written the 4th of November, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, sorry I'm late this week with this week's letter, but I was catching up on some much needed rest and didn't feel like doing anything except eating and going to bed. However, I'm raring to go again, and correspondence is the first thing on my list of activities. I had a super duper week of fun last week. I think I told you about the Texas Rangers being here in AFFE, didn't I? Well, I met one of them, an Army major from Korea, a few days after he got here, and we danced a few times, chatted a while, and then left the club. And then I left the club because I had to wash my hair or something. Last Wednesday night, he came up to Bern and me at the club and asked if he could sit with us. He did, and we had a ball. His name is Ace Gray, and he is, without a doubt, the greatest. I even get prepared for a shock, like him better than I did Red Dog. He walked me home on Wednesday night and wanted to a date with me every night until he had to go back to Korea on Sunday. But I couldn't see him Thursday night because I had a date with the Air Force Bill, a friend of Klein's, and he and I went to Yokohama and ate at Joe's. The food was good, but he is dull, and the entire evening I was wishing I was with Ace. So I had a date with Ace on Friday night, Saturday afternoon, when he and Gladys and I went to the PX, etc. And Saturday night, he and I were invited to a Halloween party over at Alabama Hall, the DAC billet across the street. We had a fine time at the party. It was optional whether to wear costumes or not, so I just wore a black dress. Some of the gals were really cute because they sewed towels together and made get-ups out of them, and sweatshirts and crazy hats, etc. We even bobbed for apples. It was loads of fun. Sunday, he picked me up around noon, and we had a late breakfast. Then he had to leave about 5 p.m. Sure hated to see him go. He is just tremendous, wonderful, cheerful personality, the kind that sings first thing in the morning. He ate breakfast with us a couple of mornings, and I told him not to dare talk to me until 10:00. So he talked to Gladys and Bern. And then at 10:00, he called me on the phone and was just so happy and glad to be alive. And it's such a joy to know someone who isn't griping all the time. Anyhow, it was a lot of fun. Since we've had this big shuffle of commands and commanders, maybe he'll be reassigned over here at AFFE because he works in HQ at 8th Army Headquarters. So, sure hope so. Mary got back from leave today, and it was ever so good to see her. Gee, we have Takusan work to do, but now it doesn't seem as though I'll ever get it done. It will only take us 2 or 3 weeks. One of my duties last week was to do the clip shut, and I finally mastered the stupid Veritype machine. The secret is to get real mad at it and just pound on it with the stencils, and the stencils turned out grand. So I learned something during her absence besides developing a completely detached attitude as to how much work is piled up on my desk. I couldn't care less. I still like the job very much, but there's just too much for the two of us to do and do it the way that it should be done. So we're both tired of trying to be efficient and only do the barest necessities. The bosses understand, fortunately, and tell us not to worry about it, and then we don't. I'm going to take next Friday off, the day after Veterans Day, and go to Nikko with 3 other girls. I'm going to come back on Saturday because Gladys, Byrne, Mary, Jeanette, and I have tickets for a stage show in Tokyo on Saturday night. Sounds like a busy week, eh? However, all these activities sure make the time fly, for which I'm glad. Byrne and I would like to know Aunt Gert and Uncle Gus's address, and also whether Dan and Margaret still live on Queen Anne's Place. If you would please be so kind, drop us a line with this information as soon as you get this letter so that we can maybe get the packages mailed to them before the 15th of November deadline. They're all wrapped and on their way with those 2 exceptions. Mother, your table at Mission Circle sounded just lovely, and I'm sure it was the hit of the affair. Yes, I sure do remember the hat, and it looks real cute on Miss Balzer. The Christmas stocking idea sounded just fine, and I hope everyone likes them as much as I do. Daddy, what's the scoop on the new governor? Did you vote for him? I can just see you voting Democrat. It was exciting at work yesterday because the returns kept coming in while I was typing up the news summaries, and everyone wanted to know how the various states were doing. It must be fun to work in a newspaper office, but I'd be a complete nervous wreck trying to keep up with everything at once. We still have a few pretzels, but they're going at a mighty fast rate. They are so good, and we certainly appreciate them. Byrne just came in for a magazine and a few bags of them. Mary Ellen Snavely called me the morning after I sent them down to her and the boys, and she said she was doling them out one by one in order to make them last longer. Next Wednesday night is the Marines' birthday ball, but I doubt whether I'll be attending. Raz, one of my favorite Marines, asked me to jump out of the birthday cake at the party, but I haven't heard or seen from him in a long time, so I suppose someone else will have that dubious honor. I wasn't going to do it anyhow. I don't know too many of the new ones who are here, and the ones I do know don't show me much, so I'm not even minding not attending. Anyhow, I couldn't possibly have as much fun this year as I did last year with Red Dog. I think I'll go to Tokyo with Alberta and Helen because we have to leave Tokyo for Nikko at 8:55 Thursday morning. That's about all for this time. I only wish sometimes I could sit down and talk to you in person so that we could tell you all the things that would take volumes for me to write. And I wish you could know all the people that we've met over here. Well, not all of them because some of them are stinkers, but most of them, the ones I call my friends, are just number one, and I'm real lucky to have so many of them. That's the best part of being here. Take good care of yourselves and don't forget to jot down those 2 addresses for us, like good kids. I just stretched and remembered that I had a smallpox vaccination and a typhus shot today, and they don't even hurt. Those shots come around too soon, though. It seems as though we get them entirely too often. Takusun, love and kisses, Peggy-san. Letter 162 from Peg, written the 8th of November, 1954. Camp Zama. Dear Mother and Daddy, well, it's Monday night again, and I've just finished with the weekly chore of hair washing. I never look forward to it, but it's something that must be done. Had a busy week and weekend flitting hither and yon. Nothing too exciting, but I always managed to have fun. Saturday night, I had a blind date with a Marine Lieutenant Colonel. The 2 new squadrons came in on Saturday, and he's one of the new ones. Gladys is dating a Lieutenant Colonel who's been here for a while, and she asked Byrne and I if we could go blind for 2 of Bob's friends, so we agreed. I enjoyed it. He was lots of fun and a good dancer, but nothing spectacular. I'm kind of hoping he'll ask me to the birthday ball on Wednesday, but it's getting rather too close and I don't care much about going. I'm going to Nikko for Thursday and Friday with 3 of my friends, so I guess I'll go to Tokyo with them on Wednesday night. We must leave Tokyo at 800 Thursday morning. I'm coming back to Tokyo on Saturday because 5 of us have tickets for a stage show on Saturday night. Just as I wrote the last sentence, I remembered that I have told you this before, haven't I? So I won't say it again. I'll just tell you about it when I get home from the trip. I got a real nice letter from Ace Gray last Thursday. He's the Army major who was here last week. I wish you could meet him because he's truly a terrific person. Now, why in the world can't more of them be like that? Oh well, c'est la vie. Still busy at work, and May and I get mighty tired of working so steadily all the time. Mary and I. Some of the people over here goof off almost all the time, like I did in med section, and others work constantly. It should be a little bit more even. It just gets a little wearing at times to never get completely caught up. We haven't filed for weeks. I hope I can afford to load for 2 months after I get home, but probably 2 weeks will be the extent of it. I ain't used to such luxury. Colonel Klein and Anna Lou, his wife, invited Mary and I to their home for Thanksgiving, and we accepted readily. I just hope she doesn't put sage in the filling. I've only had filling, dressing, or stuffing, if you wish, once over here that didn't have that horrible seasoning in it. It's just a good thing, like we like our bosses so well, and we really do have some good times in the office. Else we'd be pulling our hair out. But frankly, I just get tired of working, period. It seems like such a waste of time. But then people are never satisfied, and when I didn't work, I got bored to death. I still feel that looking at a typewriter for 8 hours a day is 20,000 times better than looking at some silly man for 50 years. You see, I haven't really said anything because there's nothing new to report, so I might as well quit. 2 or more days, and then I'll have some 8 months to go. Will it ever get here? I get squishy homesick every Sunday, especially when I stay in camp. And yesterday was no exception. Golly, I'm so lucky that Bern's here with me. Take good care of yourselves and have fun. Love and kisses, Peg.
Just when you thought she had left for good and gone, the light twinkled in his eyes.
So when is a person dead? The Victorians believed it was when breathing stops, or when the soul departs, when no one remembers the person, or when their name is no longer uttered. Coming in the fall of 2025, explore my father's side of the family. It also happens to be President William McKinley's. Join me, Lavinia, Katie, Elsie, Hazel, Blaine, and David for Deep Below, a new podcast by Cussewago Productions, available wherever you get your podcasts and at www.deepbelowpodcast.com. Letter 163 from Bern, written the 10th of November, 1955. Dear Parent Son, you will never guess what I was doing 15 minutes ago in the middle of a workday morning. I was over at the tailor shop on the post trying on a luscious pink ballerina-length evening gown, arranging for it to be made skin-tight at the top in order to hold it up, it being the strapless kind. Shucks, though, it weren't mine. Gladys is being the Colonel's lady at the Marine birthday ball tonight, and she bought a new gown yesterday for the occasion. We are exactly the same size, so she asked me to take care of having her gown altered because the tailor shop is on my side of camp. Since I know it fits me like a dream, I'm hoping very much that some occasion will arise when I will want to borrow it. However, I ain't having much luck in the man situation, so I'll probably never have use for it. Darn it. We were having a long spell of glorious autumn weather. Yesterday at lunch, I was able to walk around outdoors with just a blouse and skirt, no outer wrap necessary. Peg will have glorious weather for her trip to Nikko. She leaves tonight for a few days' holiday up there with 3 other gals. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. She asked for Friday also and is taking a short rest. If she enjoys Nico even half as much as I did, she will have a wonderful time. I believe she does not trust my photography know-how, for she is taking the camera along with her. We haven't received my slides yet, so perhaps she is wise in making sure that we have some really good shots of that photographer's dream location. I'm going to spend tomorrow quietly here in camp, or perhaps go shopping in Tokyo with Gladys if she survives the dance and the strain of sitting at the VIP table entertaining the visiting admirals and generals. Then on Saturday, she and Mary Carrera and I will go into Tokyo again late in the afternoon and meet Peg, and all of us attend the autumn dance performance, the famous Japanese rocket dancers. This has been planned for quite a while, and Peg feels it is worth coming back from Nico a day early in order to not miss it. Betty Cartmel no sooner returned from the States and from a 3-week training period in Tokyo for her new job than she fell and broke her leg. It all happened so suddenly, I'm still slightly dizzy from trying to piece the facts together. Saturday night, I ate dinner with her at the club, and then instead of going home as we both intended, I sat down with Gladys and her date because 2 of the Colonel's friends were coming over and she wanted Peg and I to meet them and spend the evening there. The 2 men were very nice, so Peg and I stayed in the group all evening, and we wandered in and out of both dance floor and dining section at various intervals. Betty, at the same time, decided to join some friends of hers at the bar. So I saw her at various intervals also during the evening as she danced. When we left the club, shortly after midnight, she was still there and okay as far as I could tell. Lo and behold, the next few moments, she fell on the dance floor, her leg buckled under her, and she sat on it, and bingo, it was broken. I went to see her Monday night. We both agreed she should have stuck to her original intention and gone home directly after dinner. Oh well, never a dull moment. But I do feel very sorry for her, and will try real hard to figure out ways to cheer her along. After all, Taka's-san wedding expenses, then having her job abolished, and then breaking a leg, all in the space of 3 months, it's asking a lot of anyone, isn't it? Daddy, your wonderful letter of November 4th just arrived, and it was most interesting. Of course, you are a stinker because of that poem, written, I know, with Blondie in mind, even though the author never met her. It did bring tears to my eyes. It is a wonderful expression of all our feelings for her. Thank you. The news about Emmett's windfall was terrific. I had to call Peg up right away and tell her what a splendiferous letter you wrote. Splendiferous, by the way, was used often in my family, and I thought it was a made-up word, but it isn't. It's a real word. She won't get a chance to read it until Saturday because she leaves directly from the office tonight. But I am to be sure to bring it along to Tokyo with me. I'm on your side of the fence in the predestination question. I believe God gives us the power of choice in all things. We decide whether we will obey His will or insist on having our own foolish, stubborn ways. I believe that He knows and has known how we as individuals will choose, but I do not believe that He controls that choice and pulls strings in a somewhat puppet fashion, saying, I will have her choose this way this time and that way another time. Your letter gave me a few more pointers on which to try to sell Peg and Gladys, and I appreciate the ideas very much. I'll answer your letter in fuller detail at a later date. I'm trying to hurry a bit with this one for several reasons, so it will be mailed in the next roundup, and so it will be finished before Major D gets back. Next week will be time enough to goof off. He leaves for a 10-day vacation in Hong Kong, and I intend to catch up on my correspondence then. Here's an interesting idea I like to take out of my thought correction occasionally and mull over. If for any reason, health or communistic silence regime, any reason at all, you had only 20 words a day which you would be allowed to speak aloud, what would they be? I think originally I picked up the idea from an article in the Lutheran. It is a goldmine of interesting possibilities. Would you limit your conversation to your loved ones? Would you say the same things every day? Would you choose a certain theme or subject for each day and have every spoken word relate to that? Man, the idea is fraught with possibilities, isn't it? Do either of you know any of the Harnish clan who migrated to Texas and have since become millers in a small rural area? If anything in Texas is small. A miller is a person who deals in grain or flour, or is he a miller because he changes grain into flour? Anyhow, Colonel Mitchell's sister-in-law was a Texas harnish, and her father is a miller. And we have been speculating about the possibility of being related. Since starting this letter, I have been to the PX for our usual lunchtime shopping look, and now I'm dreadfully distracted. Shall I draw some money from the bank and buy that beautiful piece of light brown British flannel for a suit, or shall I convince myself I don't really need it? I did just buy a rather nice black and white tweed dressmaker-type suit trimmed with black velvet. But this material is so lush and would probably make up beautifully. What a quandary. It's these decisions. Enough for now. Much love, Burton. P.S. Dad, all the clippings were interesting. I love them. Letter 164 from Peg, written the 14th of November, 1954. Camp Zama. Dear Mother and Daddy, it's Sunday afternoon. The weather is damp, cold, and rainy. Maybe more scoshy, we'll have some snow. I just finished looking through all the pictures that the various branches of the Harnish clan have sent me over the past 16 months, and I have my usual case of Sunday homesickness. I never get it so bad that I'm miserable. I sure would like to be sitting in the front room right now, showing you all the programs, tickets, pictures, brochures, etc. that I'm going to paste in my scrapbook the next rainy Sunday. Then I'd go out to the kitchen and make some fudge or popcorn, and then make some pizza pie for supper. The living room would be strewn with newspapers, and the record player would be playing continually. Thank fortune the ball games are over for a while. Oh well, we've passed our 16-month mark on Wednesday, only 8 more to go. It seems as though I've been away from Zama for at least a week. Wednesday night, Helen, Alberta, and I caught the commuter's train to Tokyo at 5:15. Then we checked in the Osaka Hotel, the DAC billet, where we stayed the night. After freshening up a little, we ate at Irene's Hungaria. It's a cute little Hungarian restaurant, and the proprietor, Mrs. Irene Haar, was dressed in a darling peasant costume. I had a mixed grilled platter, and I never saw so much meat on a platter in my life. Pork, ham, steak, sausage, salami, breast of quail, fried seafood, and veal. In fact, just about every known meat. I made a sizable dent in it, but the boy-san didn't think I did such a good job, and he didn't hesitate to tell me so either. Then we went back to the Osaka and got a good night's sleep. We left Tokyo for Nikko at 8 o'clock the next morning, and the trip was delightful. The leaves have turned to all shades of colors, and the scenery was just beautiful. The farmers are harvesting the rice, and the stalks are hung up on racks to dry. All their fields are a marvel of precision, just so straight and neat. We got to Nikko's Kanaya Hotel about 10:30, checked in, ate a massive lunch, and took off to see the sights. That afternoon we went to the shrines for which Nikko is famous. However, as I have said before, you've seen one shrine, you've seen them all. But the shrines at Nikko are more colorful than any of the others I've seen, and we enjoyed it, even though we went through the usual routine of walking up steps, down steps, up hills, down hills, and got the usual sore leg muscles. The sun was not shining the right way for good pictures, so I bought a set of slides, finding out when I got home that Bern had the identical same set that she bought when she was at Nikko a few weeks ago. Thursday night we sat and played records and just talked. Then Helen and I took a Japanese bath and conked out immediately upon going to bed. Friday we got up early in order to make the trip to see Kiken Falls, which is supposed to be one of the showpieces of Japan. First we took a bus for about half an hour. Then we took a cable car up the side of a mountain, which was very interesting because the cable car itself is built slanted in order to fit the side of the mountain. The car is built in the shape of a big pair of steps, more of them with seats on each landing. That was fun. Then we got off the cable car and took another bus to the falls. All I have to say is that they ought to see Niagara Falls. It was one scoshy little waterfall, very high, not wide at all. We weren't impressed. Then we took another bus and went to the Nikko Kanko Hotel, a special service hotel, for lunch, and for a while just hung out in the afternoon. We got back to the Kanaya in time for supper and didn't even play records that night because we were so tired from all the steps, So we got to Tokyo on Saturday about 1 o'clock, and I spoke sayonara to Helen, Alberta, and Marge, who had joined us in Tokyo on Thursday morning. And I went to the old Kaido Hotel to stay with Jeanette until Bern, Gladys, and Mary came in to go see the autumn dance. Before I tell you about the dance, I'll tell you about the Kanaya Hotel. We Americans are very fortunate because we can afford, occasionally, to spend a weekend at various Japanese hotels, which are strictly first class. The Kanaya is one of them. Only very wealthy Japanese people can afford to visit them. The other guests are tourists from all countries in the world, and we wealthy Americans. At every meal, we had an array of silverware that made me ill when I thought how long it would take me to wash and dry them. Fish forks, hors d'oeuvre forks, butter knives, meat knives, fruit utensils, etc. At the end of the meal, we were served finger bowls, which is a custom I'm becoming accustomed to. So drag out some muffin tins and put some water in them next July. Well, we had just about enough luxury, so instead of properly using our finger bowls, like ladies, we had a water bottle and spritzed each other with our fingers dipped in water. Oh well, the Japanese get a kick out of us, and we won't be here much longer. Anyhow, we enjoyed it. But can you just imagine such carryings on, how that would go over, say, in the Waldorf Astoria? We had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Kanaya, the owner of the hotel, and he was a most gracious host. He showed us a picture of himself taken with Madame Pandit when she stayed at the Kanaya 2 weeks ago. Nice, huh? And just as an aside, she was the sister of Indian Prime Minister Nehru. The autumn dance is almost beyond description. The Japanese love color, and they practically outdid themselves in the stage settings and costumes for this production. There are about 200 girls in the cast, and they went through various routines and dances, each one more lavish and colorful than the previous one. The finale was a stupendous thing with color everywhere. The costumes, a set of steps lighted with red electric lights, and on each step was about a dozen girls beating drums and singing at the top of their lungs. There is a wing leading out from each side of the stage, and they were just loaded with more of the same. The setting for this finale were backdrops lighted with more electric lights, and they revolved in opposite directions. There were also some crystal balls, which revolved in opposite directions from the other gizmos, and the effect was tremendous. It was almost overwhelming. We had to turn our heads in a 180-degree angle in order to see what was going on, because it was impossible to see everything straight ahead. Wow, it was really a spectacle. We decided to take a cab back to Zama, and after bargaining with the cab driver to make the trip for 1,700 yen, we told him he was in business, and we took off. Just imagine our trip home. We went in the most far-fetched way you could imagine, going through miles of rice paddies and boondocks, wilderness, but we finally hit our little home about midnight, and it always looks so good to me after being on a trip. It was a very enjoyable trip, and I'm certainly glad I went. The very best part of it was when Bern and Gladys opened the door to Jeanette's room and walked in. They looked so good to me, and it seemed as though I hadn't seen them for years. They said it was good to see me too, but they were with each other the days I was away, and I was without any of my family. Besides, I hadn't fought with anyone for 3 days, and I was itching for an argument, and they obliged. We never fight seriously, but so nice to say what you feel like saying, isn't it? I'm so proud of Emmett. I think it's just wonderful. I'm going to write them a letter this afternoon and tell them I'm desperately broke and need $500 in order to survive. I can just imagine the excitement, especially for Bets, and then Barb and Ron coming home unexpectedly. Golly, it must have been fun. I'm anxious to know what the doctor said about Barb, so please tell me, because she owes me a letter and might not write for a while, and I'm too anxious to know what's going on to wait for her to tell me. Mother, I know what you mean when you say that you hope you never have to use the disaster plan. I always feel the same way when we have an air raid drill. Things are tightening up over here, too. At work, we are in the midst of preparing some booklets to be distributed to dependents and the DACs in case we must be evacuated in a hurry. The incident about the RB-29 being shot down by the Russians last Sunday up in Hokkaido maybe will amount to nothing, but I just wonder, as does everyone else, I'm sure, just how long the U.S. is going to take such incidents with only a note of protest, slapping their wrists and telling them not to be naughty anymore. It's a question I don't suppose anyone has the answer to. All we can do is wait and see and pray. However, don't worry about us over here. We'll be well taken care of if anything should happen. And with all the new weapons of war being developed, I'm sure we're just as safe here as anywhere else on the planet, in any other part of the world. It's very okay to pay my storage rent, and thanks so much for taking care of all such business for me. Who's coming for Thanksgiving? Are you having turkey? And you're getting the Christmas boxes ready for us. Sounds so exciting. We can hardly wait for them to arrive. We're planning on having another billet party for our friends like we had last year when we opened our gifts with all of them in our rooms. We're looking forward to it as our big Christmas celebration because the actual Christmas day won't be too exciting. We'll be missing you all too much. I'm glad you are getting storm windows. They should help a lot in keeping the house warmer. And I'm glad you got the kind that you don't have to store. They're so much easier. Time out till I go to the banjo. Daddy, you are strictly a character, and the three of us got the biggest kick out of your letter. Gladys just laughed and laughed, and we wish you would write more often because your letters are just so wonderful. We just loved the poem about the dog, and it did make us cry. I guess Bern and I are luckier than you two because we had been away from her for a while. I'm sure it was harder on you when she left. However, we certainly did have fun with her, and I'm sure she had fun with us too. There will never be another Blondie. We did get Susan a doll for Christmas. I hope you get a chance to see what we sent the other folks, but we didn't think it was fair to get you to mail the packages when we can mail them just as easily. Gladys, Bern, and I are anxiously awaiting the first Fred story, and I'm quite sure we'll have no trouble in getting someone to make pictures for them. You know the Japanese are very artistic and dirt cheap, and we think it's an excellent idea for you to send them to us for editing and trying to get pictures drawn. And we aren't biased either. Now don't put it off until the next week to get started. Get busy, John. We gave Gladys the letter from you, Daddy, to read at breakfast this morning. Bern and I were talking about something or other, and she said, "Will you two please shut up? I want to finish this letter from John." Silence. Then she burst out laughing, and upon being questioned, read the part to us about anticipation is better than realization. And your reply, Mother? Oh, bosh. Daddy, I did comment on the business about Cain's wife. I told you we had it in Bible study one night, and the chaplain said some people say that God didn't make only Adam and Eve, but other people as well. Others say that the Bible didn't say how long after creation Cain took himself a wife, and might have been generations later that he married some far distant relative. So far removed that it wasn't even considered interfamily. About predestination, I'll save that until I get home to discuss with you, because I can't put down in words what I'd like to talk to you about. I got my gabardine material from Hong Kong last Wednesday, and it's very nice. Now, if I can only afford to have them tailored back home, I'll have 3 lovely handmade suits, which is luxury undreamed of for me. I guess that about winds this note up for this time. This is the length letter I should write to you every week, but frankly, there isn't always this much to tell. We enjoyed your letters immensely. Faye, one of our friends, hasn't heard from her mother in 5 months, and we felt so badly when she told us that. Golly, I couldn't stand it. I know that many times, Mother, you don't feel like writing at that particular time to us. You'd rather sit down and read or maybe take a nap. But I want you to know that we certainly appreciate your being so faithful about writing, because it's one of the high spots in living over here to see that familiar writing every week right on the dot, except when the mail is delayed. Right now, I suppose you're sitting at the dining room table starting this week's letter, just as I'm doing now. So I'm going to close right now because I'm not helping my usual case of SAH, Sunday afternoon homesickness. P.S. You're the only 2 people who can call me Margie and get away with it. Lots of love and thoughts, Margie. Okay, so this is what I found out about old Ace. First, he wasn't married and he didn't have kids. He actually stayed single until 1980. The exciting part is that he became a general. Sounds like this man was exceptional. He had a decorated career and was even stationed in the Harrisburg area at the War College in Carlisle in 1973 and 74. So I wonder if they looked each other up and saw each other. That would be pretty cool if they stayed friends. I think Peck's extreme dislike for sage is interesting. I love both the smell and the taste. I wonder if it was just an unfamiliar spice to her, or I don't know, she just seemed excessively hating on the sage. Or maybe she just wanted some stuffing that tasted like home. I do find that the stuffing that Helen taught my mom to make does not taste like any other stuffing that I've ever had anywhere else. So, keep that. On Monday, I start my last year of teaching, and I met most of my students at an open house the other night. They seem like a great group, very communicative and very interesting people. I'm excited. I hope you have a great week. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.FromMaclaytoZama.com, where I've posted photos and links from the episodes. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon as well. New episodes will be available each Friday morning. The letters were written by my aunts Vern and Peg, transcribed by me. I write and record the show and have created the artwork and original music. Our producer is Zeke, our sound engineer is intern Sylvie, and the security is provided by intern Frey. Thanks to my great-grandparents, John and Helen, who loved us all and thought it was a good idea to save the letters. All rights reserved, 2024.